The imagery is stark. A bear stranded on a shrinking ice floe. This visual metaphor captures the essence of Russia's current predicament, a nation grappling with its own set of shrinking opportunities and growing challenges. This is the image that comes to mind when we consider the current state of Russia. The grandeur of the Kremlin juxtaposed with the desolation of rural villages paints a picture of a country at a crossroads, struggling to reconcile its past glory with its uncertain future. Once a superpower, Russia now finds itself increasingly isolated, economically vulnerable, and mired in a costly conflict. The remnants of its Soviet past linger in the form of decaying infrastructure and a stagnant economy, while its military engagements drain resources and morale. The invasion of Ukraine has backfired spectacularly, exposing the cracks in Russia's facade of strength. What was intended to be a show of power has instead revealed deep-seated weaknesses, both militarily and politically. The conflict has not only strained Russia's resources, but also its international relationships. The West's response to Russia's aggression was swift and decisive. They imposed unprecedented economic sanctions designed to cripple Russia's economy, targeting its financial institutions, key industries, and influential oligarchs. These sanctions have had a profound impact on Russia's access to international finance, trade, and technology. Russian banks have been cut off from the global financial system, making it difficult for businesses to operate and for citizens to access their savings. Key sectors of the Russian economy, particularly those reliant on Western technology and investment, have been hit hard. Factories have shut down, and oil drilling sites lie abandoned, leading to massive job losses and economic instability. The ruble has plummeted in value, leading to soaring inflation and a decline in living standards for ordinary Russians. Everyday goods have become prohibitively expensive, and many families are struggling to make ends meet. Access to vital technologies has been severely restricted, hampering industries from manufacturing to energy. The tech sector, once a beacon of innovation, is now facing a severe downturn, with many companies unable to continue operations. The long-term consequences are dire diminished economic growth, technological stagnation, and a decline in Russia's global economic standing. The country is facing a brain drain as skilled professionals seek opportunities abroad, further exacerbating the economic crisis. The once booming Russian economy is now facing a period of prolonged uncertainty and hardship. Businesses are closing, unemployment is rising, and the future looks bleak for many Russians. The impact of these sanctions will be felt for years to come, as the country struggles to rebuild and adapt to a new economic reality. Beyond the economic realm, Russia is facing growing political isolation. Many countries have condemned Russia's actions in Ukraine, leading to a significant deterioration in diplomatic relations. Russia finds itself increasingly alienated from the international community, its voice diminished in global forums. This isolation carries significant costs. Russia is being excluded from crucial international organizations and partnerships. Its ability to influence global events is waning. This diplomatic estrangement further compounds Russia's economic woes, limiting its access to markets, investments, and partnerships vital for its growth and development. The image of Russia as a reliable and influential global player has been tarnished, perhaps irrevocably. Russia's demographic outlook is bleak. The country is grappling with a shrinking and aging population, a legacy of low birth rates and high mortality rates. This demographic decline has far-reaching consequences for Russia's future economic and military prospects. A shrinking workforce translates into slower economic growth and a diminished tax base to fund essential services. The aging population puts an increasing strain on healthcare and social security systems. This demographic imbalance further weakens Russia's ability to compete on the global stage, casting a long shadow over its ambitions for renewed greatness. Section 5. Corruption's iron grip. How endemic corruption is strangling Russia's potential. Endemic corruption is another deeply entrenched problem that continues to plague Russia. Despite repeated promises of reform, corruption remains rampant at all levels of government and business. This systemic corruption has a corrosive effect on Russia's economic and social fabric. It discourages foreign investment, stifles innovation, and undermines the rule of law. It exacerbates social inequalities and breeds cynicism and distrust in the government. The lack of transparency and accountability creates an environment where cronyism thrives, further hampering economic development. Section 6. A military bogged down. The heavy cost of the Ukraine conflict on Russia's armed forces. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has exposed glaring weaknesses in Russia's military capabilities. While initially touted as a formidable force, the Russian military has faced unexpected setbacks and heavy losses in Ukraine. The conflict has drained Russia's military resources, exposing logistical shortcomings and limitations in its equipment and tactics. The human cost has also been substantial, with mounting casualties eroding morale among Russian troops. This military quagmire has not only weakened Russia's strategic position, but has also exposed the limitations of its military might, challenging its image as a global power. Section 7. Simmering Discontent. Economic hardship and social unrest test Russia's stability. The combination of economic hardship, political repression, and the ongoing war in Ukraine has fueled simmering discontent within Russia. Public dissatisfaction with the government is on the rise, as ordinary Russians grapple with declining living standards and a lack of basic freedoms. While large-scale protests have been suppressed, there is a palpable sense of unease and frustration among the population. The economic sanctions, coupled with government corruption and mismanagement, have taken a toll on the lives of ordinary Russians. This growing discontent poses a challenge to the Kremlin's authority and could potentially lead to greater instability in the future. Section 8. The tinderbox of NATO expansion. Ukraine's potential membership in NATO has been a topic of intense debate and concern for many years. The risk of igniting a wider conflict looms large over this geopolitical issue. Looming over this already volatile situation is the prospect of Ukraine joining NATO. This potential membership is seen by many as a double-edged sword, offering security to Ukraine while simultaneously provoking Russia. This is a red line for Russia, which views NATO expansion as a direct threat to its security. The Kremlin has made it clear that it will not tolerate NATO's presence on its doorstep. Ukraine's potential membership in NATO has been a key point of contention between Russia and the West, further escalating tensions. Diplomatic efforts have been made to address these concerns, but the situation remains precarious. Russia has repeatedly warned against NATO expansion, viewing it as a provocation. President Vladimir Putin has been vocal about his opposition, stating that such moves are unacceptable and will be met with a strong response. The Kremlin has used this issue to justify its actions in Ukraine, claiming that it is acting to protect its national interests. The conflict in eastern Ukraine has been a flashpoint, with Russian-backed separatists clashing with Ukrainian forces. The possibility of Ukraine joining NATO remains a dangerous flashpoint, one that could potentially ignite a wider conflict with catastrophic consequences for Russia, Europe, and the world. The international community watches closely, aware that any misstep could lead to a significant escalation. The stakes are high, and the path forward is fraught with peril.